Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the 757 Renaissance Man podcast. Today I have one of the original New Hope kids, one of the Camelot crew. I have Sherri B in the house from King Ella B Designs. How you doing, sister?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Mr. Sean?
I think this is so incredible because, you know, we have a huge history because we grew up together. We grew up in them Camelot streets together.
Right. Camelot, church, school, all of that.
From Camelot to Deep Creek to,
Yeah.
And I think it's funny that our friendship started with my friendship with your brother because your brother was in my class.
Mm-hmm.
And your brother is always been in the hip hop. I was always in the hip hop. So that was like, you know, my mixtape buddy. When I got new music, I ran down there to see him. And you have always been the little sis. So I'm proud to see how you've grown and made moves and have blossomed into the person that you are.
Oh, well, thank you, brother. I do remember all y'all in the hip hop game and running those tapes and loading your cars up when y'all got cars, loading your cars up with them big speakers and whatnot,
Yes.
booming down the Camelot streets.
Yeah, and
I
then was one of
did.
my greatest he was one of my greatest inspirations and one of my greatest competitors. We always just try to get the biggest subwoofer. Who has a subwoofer? I'll get a 10. He'll get a 12. I'll get a 15.
I could tell. I could
Yes.
tell there was clearly competition.
And our parents was not happy about it.
Yeah, but they'll be all right though. So I do want to say congratulations to you also for just really um, one blowing up the 757 with your podcast and I think the community effort of your LVAD podcast, getting that information out there. Um, I think that all those things are wonderful. I want to congratulate you on being like top notch dad. Whew,
Thank you.
because
Thank you.
raising a girl is something else,
Yeah.
and
Especially
raising a
she's
son
a
not to get
teenager
enough
now.
ahead is something else
Sean,
as well.
the son is easy. The son, I can just knock him out, shake him a little bit, and he's all right. The
Now,
daughter, yeah, well, that's why I do it now. So when he gets older, he don't try at me.
hmm
Yeah, like the song say, "Try Jesus, don't try me,
don't try me.
cause I fight." But the daughter is a challenge, and you know I do have to thank you and shout out to Marquisha and the other ladies in the church that give me a hand because I don't know the rules when it comes to little girls, so I have to
Mhm.
be able to reach out to my community, and you guys come in full force. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's what I really like and aspire to continue is kind of like a community feel in an age where everybody wants to be independent. Nobody wants you to kind of mentor their child.
Mhm.
Don't talk to my child. You talk to me. It's like no, I can kind of come down to your child's level without me telling you, and then you just going to fuss at them, and that creates a farther distance between parent and child, where the child can kind of understand that okay, somebody else is looking out for my well-being also, even
Well,
though
let's talk
most
about
kids
that.
don't recognize it
I
at the
think we
time.
came from the last generation where it was socially acceptable for somebody else to scold your child.
No lies. Correct.
Yeah, because
Correct.
your mama done got me a couple times.
And still will.
Yeah, and still will.
And your mama's going to accept it too
Hmm.
if need be. But yeah, I definitely missed that. I just don't know what happened to kind of cause that shift other than, perhaps after our generation, or perhaps my generation or our generation, parents are younger. So it's pretty much children that don't want to accept, um, rebuke, or, some type of advice to help them be better. They don't want to accept it. So, you're not going to be able to talk to their child either.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's the hope that um, people will start to realize that, you do need a community to help you raise children, because you don't have all the answers. Especially as a dad, you don't know what girls are going through, especially in the teenage phase where, we're trying to figure out womanhood, what comes next. After this, we're trying to figure out, how to be our own person in our own space. I know for me, my mom and I were just talking about it last night. Um, Something about clothing, and those teenage years, she was still trying to, she wanted me to wear the stockings to church all the time. I'm like, I don't want to wear those stockings. I'll wear the dress, that's fine, but the stockings itch. Those stockings itch, and I don't want to do it. So that was just a whole big rebellion thing there. um but yeah, that was
I
life.
think, and we came from the same community. And when I say community, we grew up in Camelot, which was a community by itself, and then we also went to the same church, which was a whole nother community
Mm-hmm.
that supported us. But they kind of intertwined because a lot of those paths cross ways.
True.
And when you have, I think people don't talk to each other as much as they used to. Like, it's not uncommon for you not to know who your neighbor is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the problems that kind of goes into into that with the kids. And who is this lady talking to my son like that?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe if you got to know who the lady was, that might help a little bit. You know her
Yeah.
values. Because once you know somebody's values, you kind of can be like, oh, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't have jumped on him for no reason. He had to be doing something, or she had
Mm-hmm.
to be doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of our problems in the community, in all communities, is we don't communicate anymore. We don't know. Like in Camelot, I knew what houses were safe, whose backyard I could run through, but we don't have that anymore. And I'm guilty of it. I have neighbors on my street that I don't even know.
Yeah, yeah. um and it's really not too late to just change that. um I will say this. I have recently launched through um, a project that I'm doing as a Community Engagement Institute fellow at Wesley Theological Seminary. I've recently um, launched a bike riding group focused in Camelot, and it's actually called Camelot Cruising. We started in May of this year. Yep, we started May 1st of this year. And the whole object of it is to strengthen community in another way. Because our community, well, the Camelot community does have a civic lead, and the civic lead does a great job of, kind of keeping um, the neighborhood nice, keeping track with the laws and the things that are going on that affect Camelot. But like you said, neighbors don't know each other, and it's a shifting dynamic in the neighborhood over, well, I'll say since we've left, since we've gotten grown and have moved and started families or started professional careers somewhere else. But the demographics have um, shifted, shall I say. When you and I were in Camelot, it was pretty much all black.
Mm-hmm.
I can recall all throughout elementary school, there were a couple of Asian students in my class, one white student, two at the most,
Mm-hmm.
and beyond that, it was blackity black, 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 black,
Yeah.
black, the whole way. But now I've moved back into Camelot last year, and I just riding around Camelot, I see that we have other populations of people moving into Camelot. Some of the houses are have transitioned to for HUD housing, subsidized housing and whatnot. And you kind of just notice that there's a shift of many different people with different ideas in the same neighborhood. So, one of the things that I wanted to do is just reconnect one another, because the Civic League is great, but typically Civic League is for people who have time to attend the meeting.
Hmm.
Um, so I said, well, let's do let's start a bike riding group, and this was in the midst of the pandemic as well. Everything was shut down last year. Gyms were shut down. People were packing on that COVID 15, COVID 25, 35, 50, whatever. People's morale was going down because they felt stuck in the house, trapped in there with those kids that they reproduced.
Hmm.
Um, so, a lot of people started buying bikes last year just to get out the house. So I said, well, let's do this as a community thing. So we started, and we do every Tuesday at 7 p.m. We meet at Camelot Park, um, and it's open to all ages. We do a quick, easy cruising 5 mile ride around Camelot, so that neighbors can see. There are two sides of Camelot. You got the school side, then you got the Aaron Drive side, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of people that live on the school side, they don't know anything about the Aaron Drive side, and vice versa. But as we're riding through, they say, "Oh, this side is nice. Okay, I see how these people keep up their property. I see what they're doing with their homes." And it's really become a community thing, because those that have yet to get their bike, and I'm putting in a plug, get a bike and meet us out at Camelot Park, 7 p.m. every Tuesday, and second and fourth Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. But it's to the point now where people sit on their porch and they know that we're coming through, um, around about 7 o'clock on Tuesday. So they look forward to it. They wave at us. Um, some of them ask, how can I join? And we're like, just get you a bike and come on out. And it's working. New neighbors that are coming into the neighborhood that don't know anybody. We don't take the pie next door anymore and introduce yourself. So people feel more comfortable in a group setting. Then, of course, it's outside. So, we're not indoors, with the potential of the COVID germs and all that kind of stuff. Um, so, the motto is, we're strengthening community, we're strengthening health, and we're strengthening family, because this is an opportunity for something for the whole family to do. So, that's
So
where we're at.
that's another thing that totally impresses me about you is your um, belief in community service.
Mhm.
Me knowing you the way I know you, I know this isn't the first, and this isn't going to be the last project that we see Sherri in the community. What were some of your inspirations to make you such a strong community supporter?
Um,
Or better yet, I want to say community builder.
well, I really got to give credit to the three foundations in my life, which is church, family, and neighborhood. So, first of all, starting off with church, like you said, a lot of the paths cross between neighbors and church, because with the church being so close, a lot of the members live in Camelot. So, you can expect to see them in church, and you can expect to see them in the neighborhood. So, whatever way you're going to act in church is the same way you need to act in the neighborhood, and vice versa. And the same for them. And, I remember youth fellowship,
Hmm.
when we were all made to do something in the church on Saturday. You had to go
Second
to,
Saturday every month.
yep, you had to go to either usher training or choir rehearsal. And then after that was youth fellowship with
Fellowship.
good deacon and deaconess, Walson and Christine Williams. So, you kind of learn the values of love and looking out for other people and forging friendships with, seemingly like minded people who all wanted to go, in a good path. Um, so, definitely the Christian Foundation helps stir your heart toward community and people. Um, the second thing is, the neighborhood that we grew up in. You have friends on the block. So,
Mm-hmm.
you can go down to your friend's house and play and, hide and go seek and all that kind of stuff. And your parents knew where you were. They knew, they went down and they met those parents. So they didn't just send you off to somebody's random. Um, and, if you just knew don't cut up down there because you're not going to be invited back or whatever. So you just knew you learned how to behave at other people's houses. Um, and then I would say family, really. Um, I know my dad, he, would just always be willing to um, help somebody work on their car. He wasn't a mechanic, but, he knew a few things about little engines or whatever. He was a wood maker. So, he would build things for his, for family and friends and all that kind of stuff. Oftentimes give it away. Um, and then my mom, she would always, I think her niche was with older people. She was an elementary school teacher, but her niche was with older people. And I remember um, when I was made to go to school with her, because, when Chesapeake was out, but Portsmouth was still in,
Mm-hmm.
I would have to go to school and sit in the back of her class with her students. And I remember her hosting this, it was like a pen pal program with a nursing home that my grandmother was in. So the students would write letters, to these older people. Um, and then my mom would take them over and deliver them to them. And then the older people would write back. And, it forced a connection between generations, young and
Mm-hmm.
old. And then this was also back in the day where, you could set up a field trip. And I recall a few times that they would take students over and sing in, the big community hall at the nursing home at Christmas time or whatever, sing and then hand out, socks and toiletries for the residents of the nursing home. And I just always loved being a part of that because I could tell that that was something that she cared about too. So, just growing up in those with that type of mentorship. I mean, what other way is there to be?
Yeah. And, your mom is a big inspiration to a lot of people, but you in particular you're following in her footsteps in a couple of ways. The way that you're active in the church, you both share the same alma mater, and you both were teachers.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That is true. Um, so I also appreciate those foundations as well. And I think I'm at a crossroads. She and I talk about that sometimes um, because in her generation, they were kind of molded to get an education. Her generation was the first, especially since the passing of Brown versus Board of Education. Her generation was the first to be able to, experience integrated schools and, higher education um, without having to, raise 15 other kids
Mm-hmm.
and, all that kind of stuff that, our grandparents and forefathers may have had to do. Um, so she's got the education, she's got the career, and her people were taught, you find a career, you stay in it for 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
you retire from
Get
that,
that
and
pension.
you live out your days, however you're going to live out your days. But my generation and your generation, we're together. We're we're in that the crosshairs between the old school way of thinking
Hmm.
and what the digital age has really brought in to us, and really the freedom of being able to choose many different paths to retirement.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed teaching. I taught for 16 and a half years
Hmm.
in an urban school setting. And while it was great and terrible at the same time, and then great again, and then, oh, I want to quit today, and then, oh man, today was a great day type deal. I'm also looking for other ways to maybe utilize the training ground of the education field, and step into something else. So where it leads, I don't know yet, but
Yeah, me and my parents had that conversation too, but you gotta kind of think things aren't set up the way they were back then. Back then there was a pension. Nowadays, not so much. And with the change of economic status and other forces that be, I came up in the IT field, and my mom used to be like, you got a new job like every 2 years. It's like, yeah, but they're paying me more.
right.
It's an upward position. And, well, why don't you just stay at one company? I don't want to miss out on that opportunity. You never know
Yeah.
what is around that next corner. And I think, our generation, like you were saying, we had the freedom and the independence to choose and not have to stay in one place like our parents' generation. Like they were brought up looking at, the how business was taken care of in the 50s and 60s.
Hmm.
And if you could tell how that changed from that time to our parents' time, where it was leave it to Beaver, and Daddy went home, and Mama took care of the kitchen.
Correct.
That wasn't our parents' reality. Even though yes, we grew up in a middle class black neighborhood, but our parents had to work, to make things happen, and it's the whole system switched again with our generation. So, and then now with like my kids' generation, they may not even have to leave the house at all to have a career. So you kind of got to go with how it is, how the progress comes.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I can even mark the difference from when I first started teaching to my closing years of teaching. Um, I would start out, I can recall in the beginning, just having that old school mindset and, telling the kids, hey, y'all need to get this information because, you don't need to get a job, and you don't, have to stay in that job and such and such. You have to get your attitude together because, boss is just not going to put up with, you and your attitude, and
Hmm.
you're getting paid for it. Um, but you know, as time moved and I saw the transition of how jobs were going, and it's to the point now, like you said, you don't even have to leave the house to do your job. And I know I see a lot of, I forgot what they call them, but people who travel and they're literally on vacation, but they're working at the same time. Like they'll get
The
up in the
nomad
morning,
lifestyle.
yeah. No, nomad, nomadic entrepreneurs or something like that.
Hmm.
Where literally they just get up in the morning from whatever little beautiful island that they're on. They do their computer work as long as they got Wi-Fi connection. Post their videos, and they're done for
Hmm.
the day. They check a few emails throughout the day, and they're done.
So,
So
what about this now? Because we got a whole nother shift when it comes to COVID. And now I believe that COVID has forced the hand of a lot of people who were working the worker lifestyle, transitioned them to the entrepreneurial lifestyle. And now the old companies are having a hard time staffing because people now are like, what I need y'all for?
right, right. Um, so I think it's a good thing because it did allow people to kind of branch out and really utilize their skills, really put forth the effort into the things that they were scared of doing, because it didn't come with the pension. Starting your own business will not come with a pension. It won't come with a retirement plan unless you set aside your money and create it, and work your investments, and whatever your retirement portfolio should look like. But because of COVID, people were furloughed, people were let go altogether. So they said, why not? Let's look at this time as perfect for me to just go ahead and launch out. If it fails, I just get another job. But it's working for people, and people realize that all I got to do is put forth the effort and the drive into what I really want to do. And there is a niche. There's a group of people who want to support what you're doing.
Yeah, you just got to
Yeah,
find those people. And
yeah.
then it makes it harder for you to go back to the rat race because I'm doing the same or getting the same or if not more, and I don't have to deal with the strings attached.
Correct. Correct. That's how I feel about teaching. I said I wouldn't mind going back to it if I could just teach. I don't want to sit in staff meetings. I don't want to sit in data meetings. I don't want to crunch data. I don't want to beg kids to just learn knowledge for a test. I want to teach them the curriculum, but I always want to teach. I always teach it in a way that's applicable to real world.
Hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter what the topic is. I'm going to find a job opportunity, or I'm going to talk about something that's applicable to how you could use it in real life. And I mean, that just blows the kids' mind. So, like, you know, if I do
You know
that,
that
I'm good.
my
But other than
major
that,
at
I'll
first
pass.
was early childhood education.
Word?
But yeah, yeah,
Yeah. What changed?
just that. Just that, my mom's a teacher just like your mother's a teacher.
Hmm.
And I was able to see the shift where they weren't really teaching anymore. They was teaching towards the test.
Hmm.
And like I wanted to be like one of my role models. At the time, I didn't know it was a role model. You remember Mr. Venters from the junior high school
Uh-uh. I didn't
history
have him.
teacher? He had 4.5 suits,
Don't do it. Don't talk
and you
about him
knew
recycling those suits.
and you knew what day it was. Wednesday was Green Suit Day. You knew what day it was
Wow.
by the suit, but he was a retired Marine,
Uh-huh.
and he would take like things that happened in the news and kind of shape it towards that lesson or that week's lesson. So
Hmm.
you had an understanding of what you needed to learn, but you also had an understanding what was really happening in the world. And I realized very early on, doing like, trying to get your student teaching and subbing and things, that wasn't the reality anymore. And that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to be Mr. Venice. I wanted to have my 4.5 suits. Somebody out there from Deep Creek and Camelot
Well,
laughing right now. But
well,
we knew that we could come to Mr. Venters and we knew it was a safe space. So if something happened, and I think that's one of the things is why the kids are on the path they are now, they don't have that safe space to say, this happened in my neighborhood or this happened on the news. What should I expect or how should we handle this or how in history did something like this happen before that we can take the lesson for. It's
hmm
all about that standardized test.
hmm yeah, yeah. I think there are a lot of amazing teachers out there that do both. Um, teach the mandated curriculum, but then also find the relatability, and then also are there, for the kids in, just numerous capacities where, the child or the student may be lacking at home or in their community. It's just some things that they're not getting there. Um, I know that there are just some amazing teachers that just step up and fill those roles. And that's one of the things that I really love about social media these days is, amidst all the crazy stuff and the negativity, is the opportunity to see um, teachers literally trade their shoes with, a graduate that did not have the proper shoes to graduate, so they weren't going to let them walk. So, the teacher said, "Hey, take my shoes," or, "Here, take my this, take my that, or let me cut your hair, you know, for your graduation or whatever." So it's again, it's that community feel where people just step up and fill in the voids and the gaps where needed. And I hope that it's translating to the next generations for the future as well.
Yeah. All right. So I would be amiss to have you here and not mention that you graduated from the best school in the world.
Huh? And what is that? What is it?
The best school in the world,
The best?
Craig.
We know it is the Norfolk
Uh,
State University. Come on. That's what it is. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
so what? Let's. How did you choose Norfolk State, or was it chosen for you? And let's talk about your experience because anytime I have anybody from any HBCU, I like to dive into that. Even though we know Norfolk State is the best HBCU.
Let's go. I'm waiting for those horns.
Oh, come on, I got you. Oh,
Pull up all day
oh.
long. Yeah. Come on, Norfolk State.
Oh, we're gonna have to let this rock for a second.
Yeah. Come on, somebody jamming with us. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm.
All right,
Ooh, them
horns about to
tubas
come out.
rocking it. Ooh, them tubas rocking it.
Yes, we do. Both Asians.
Come on, who played the air horn at the house?
Now we done messed up. Somebody done
Ooh,
knocked all their stuff
ooh,
over,
Lord have mercy.
dancing.
Ooh,
Woo.
I needed that though. I needed that. Yeah. Well, so my path to Norfolk State was not wonderful at all because my first choice was Virginia Tech. I wanted to
Mm.
go to Virginia Tech. A few of my other black friends from Deep Creek were going to Tech. Um, my first major was actually computer science.
Mhm.
So, I went in under computer science, but um, didn't have the money to go. And, it just didn't make sense to get into a whole lot of debt, um, behind going to a school. So, Norfolk State was available. I applied to Norfolk State. That was probably, that's kind of one of my safety net choices. So I applied to Norfolk State. Um, got in, no problem. I had a pretty good GPA and whatnot. Um, but when I found out I couldn't go to Virginia Tech because of the finances, I started looking at Norfolk State, and Norfolk State gave me a full ride between um, outside scholarships I had applied for, um, grants through Virginia and the college system. Um, I ended up maybe each semester I had to pay for a parking pass, and I may have had to pay for one book or something
Mhm.
like that. But everything else was covered. So I came out of Norfolk State debt free. While I was there, um, I tell it straight. I did not like going to Norfolk State. I didn't like
Mhm.
because I didn't want to go there. So I went to class, I went to work, and I went home. I hung out a little bit on campus for the what was it in the square? What they call it in the square? DJ Terry Butler was out there,
Okay.
and the fraternities and sororities were hopping on the yard.
Yeah.
So I would hang out for that. But other than that, I would go home. I can't forget the lady and her husband that owned that hoagie food truck
Hmm.
across the street. Um, Shout out to them. I think the husband passed away, but I think she's still working it a little bit. Um, but when I came out of Norfolk State, I will say this: I was thoroughly prepared to enter professional career because the education department, I don't care how people talk about whatever they say about Norfolk State, I came out under Dr. Shirley Winstead, and that lady was like a drill sergeant. She meant education, she lived it, and you won't gonna treat it any kind of way. So, when I graduated, um, I was offered a job even before I'd even finished school, before I'd finished student teaching. I had a professional look. They required us to go to work in a suit
Hmm.
and stockings every day.
And so them stockings found you, huh?
Yeah, yeah. So we back to the stockings thing. Suit and stockings every day. You're gonna look professional because you represent the school. Um, and I noticed the difference from when I had student teachers in, and they would come in with khakis, from other institutions, PWIs. They would come in from other institutions wearing these khakis and these boat shoes, like they were going on a yacht um, after school. And, I noticed that there was kind of a little bit more lack of respect from the kids because you didn't necessarily look the part that you were the professional and they were the student. So, huge shout out to Norfolk State. Um, Raised me up to be where I needed to be, debt free. Um, and now I love my HBCU. Don't say
Amen.
nothing bad about it now. Nothing.
So, um,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead. Go
I
ahead.
cannot forget. I got to shout out the history department. Um, Everybody in there is stellar. Particularly shout out to Dr. Cassandra Newby Alexander and good old Dr. Pendleton. I think everybody had to go through his geography class. So if you don't know the exact location of Djibouti, you did not go through Dr. Pendleton's class.
Right. So yeah, I find that with HBCUs, you got to go back to the history. And like you were saying earlier, it was a struggle for education for our people at some time.
Mhm.
I think maybe that's why they hold us at a higher regard sometimes. And I tend to think that they not only want to educate your mind, they try to educate the whole person.
Yeah, your whole life.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And um,
Because your degree represents more than just you. It represents the total struggle that we had to go to for you to be able to get that degree. So they tend to take it a little bit more serious, and they don't take no. That works for white folks too. If you come over there, they ain't gonna play. You gonna learn something.
100%. 100. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now let's talk about your business, especially since I got that Norfolk State NSU made shirt.
Yeah.
One time for the shirt.
Okay. Hey.
All right, so let's talk about King Ella B Designs.
All right. Awesome. Okay. Um, so I'll say what the origin of the name is. King Ella B comes from three facets of my life. King was my grandfather's name, born in 1892, I believe, 1891, something like that. Ella was my grandmother's name, born in 1918. Um, and then the B is for Butler, of course, so that's representing my whole Butler side. But, I just wanted to, um, give some reverence and honor to uh, the people and the generations that brought me up to where I am. Like you said, the struggle was real for, a man born 2 centuries ago and, a woman who only had an eighth grade education and still, raised a wonderful family, 2 daughters, some stepchildren as well, but really push for their daughters, to get a quality education and not play around, and make sure that they can sustain for future generations as well. And then my whole Butler side, um, there's just a gamut of successes there. I have cousins who are doctors now. They have PhDs, they have medical degrees, and all that stems from how the Butlers just pushed us. Even at family reunions when we would get together, just um, seeing the older people and having the older people say, I'm proud of you. You keep on doing what you're doing, baby. All of that helps drive you to not just be successful for yourself, but to be successful for those that um, whose shoulders you're pretty much standing on. So that's the origin of the name, and pretty much what I do with that is custom designs, mainly for home decor, unique handcrafted designs for home decor. And I also have something I call the shirt of the month. So, what you just posted and mine right here, 757 made. Of course, representing VA to the fullest, two up,
Two up, two
two down,
down.
right? Um, so I have that going on. Anybody can feel free to check out Instagram. It's King LB underscore designs, or you can also check it out on Facebook at King LB Designs, King LB space designs. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And don't be trying to get the shirt because you can't no more. Don't be
yeah, well,
trying to ask for it.
actually you can. That was May's April shirt of the month. So I offer a special price when it's during that month. But anybody that want to represent your school, you're trying to represent where you're from in VA, you can definitely hit me up. Cost just a little more, but still the representation is real. And Sean, for you, just to show my appreciation for you inviting me to this podcast, and just big ups to everything that you're doing. Um, every time we talking about you at the house, my mom she always says, "Oh, Sean about to blow up," like she literally says it just like that. So Sean, I want to just give you a shout out and congratulations for being an awesome dad, awesome podcast guy, just a man of action in the community as well, and at your church and whatnot. So I want to present you with July's shirt of the month.
All
Of
right.
course, this is going to be in your size.
Yeah.
All right. But it's me and God got history. And it's one of those things like, if you know, you know, right?
Right.
If you know, you know. So, yes, I'm going to gift this to you. Just show my appreciation.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
So our time is going is drawing near, but I want you to give a shout out to where you are right now and what you're doing in the middle of the podcast.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool. All right. So just want to give a plug one more time. We've launched a community bike ride based in Camelot, but we do have people that come from the surrounding neighborhoods in other cities because it's just close to them. It's called Camelot Cruising. There's a Facebook page, Camelot Cruising, Cruising. No funny spellings with it. You'll see a emblem of a knight on a bike because that's the whole mascot for Camelot. Um, and we ride every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Every second and fourth Saturday um, at 8:30 a.m. and we meet at Camelot Park. Right now, I'm doing an internship at one of our local churches in the 757 called The Mount. Well, it's affectionately called The Mount. The full name is Mount Lebanon Missionary Baptist Church. Um, the cathedral is in Chesapeake with Bishop Kim Brown, but I am at the Virginia Beach campus with Pastor Teron Rogers and his lovely wife, Lady T. Lady Tasha Rogers, and they are housing a food bank through Southeastern Virginia Food Bank um, organization. And we are open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We really prefer that you go on the Southeastern Virginia Food Bank website to schedule an appointment so that you can shop freely and whatnot. Of course, the food is free, and we got the good stuff too, Sean. It's not it's not the Fruitios, it's
Mm-hmm.
not the Oh No's. They supposed to be Oreos, but the Oh no, it's the name brand stuff. It's the non-expired stuff. You know how people just clear out their pantry at home and send stuff. No, it's none of that. It's none of that. We've got meat. We've got dairy. Um, we've got box goods. All of that kind of stuff, just to help you make it through. So we just invite you to come. It's here at 620 Baker Road in Virginia Beach. Again, you can sign up on the site, or you can go to, I guess, the Mount, and they also have information there. It's called Full Course Food Source. And I gotta, say shout out to all churches that, during the pandemic and even before that, have really just been stepping outside of the four walls of the church to really make impacts in their community. So coming next week, July 19th, there will be a mobile grocery truck coming to neighborhoods in Virginia Beach. So, if you know seniors or just anybody that needs to shop fresh but can't quite make it to the store, again, just look up that information on the Mount's website. I think it's themountleads.org. And boom, you got some information. So, shout out to the Mount. Also, shout out to New Hope Baptist Church, where we go for the great things.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, wrong one, wrong one, wrong one. Let's do this one for
Ouch!
New Hope.
Ouch! Yeah. Yeah, let's get it.
All right, so this is how I end up all my episodes. If a young Sherry B came to you and wanted life advice, what would you tell her?
Oh man. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you. Mhm.
Waited all the way to the end of the podcast. If a young me came to me, oh man, there's just so many things that I would say. I would definitely tell her to, keep on the path of looking out for other people, but don't forget to look out for yourself as well. I would definitely teach her about investments and, looking at different paths that lead to the same goal. Um, yeah, I would definitely give that advice. Yeah. And to just keep
Nice.
on keeping on. You're doing all right.
So tell the people how they can get in touch with you, your social medias, websites, how can they get in touch with you and King Ella B Designs.
Okay, absolutely. So again, check us out on Facebook, King LB Designs. You can type it in just like you see it there on the screen. Also on Instagram, King LB. That's all together underscore designs. We're there. I got some like really fantastic diva planters. If you don't know what that is, you got to go check it out. Um, I have some personalized charcuterie boards that are going to be posted today. So you can check that out. And then some other just really unique um, designs and decor that kind of help spark and spice your life up. And then as far as community work, you can, more than welcome to come on out to Camelot Cruising. Again, there is a Facebook page for that. Um, yeah, it's called Camelot Cruising. Feel free to join, and we post every time that we ride so that you got the information there. So,
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the 757 Renaissance Man podcast. You can reach us at 757renaissanceman.com, where you can catch this episode, audio, video, leave us voicemail, leave a message, and let us know what you want to hear and talk about next.